Chapter 13, Excretion in Humans. 13.1, Excretion in Humans. Again, don't forget to pass by the objectives by the end of your studying to make sure that you covered all the essential parts of the lesson. What's excretion? Excretion is simply the removal or elimination of waste products of metabolism and substances in excess of requirement. So please make sure when you write in any exam the definition of excretion to mention those two main points: waste products of metabolism and substance in excess of requirement. You have to mention both. Actually, all living cells are provided energy through respiration. Remember the process of aerobic respiration, which makes carbon dioxide as a waste product. That's why it needs to be removed from the body, because it is already produced due to respiration to make energy, and it is a toxic substance. So if it stays long enough or in high concentration, it's going to cause toxicity to the cells. So, excretion in animal cells. We excrete from our cells two main molecules. The first one is carbon dioxide, as we mentioned earlier, that will be excreted from the lungs. And the other one is urea, which is removed by blood and then to the kidneys and then will be excreted outside as urine or sweat. So urea itself is very, very toxic. So when we excrete it as urine, we get rid of it in order to maintain our body environment healthy. So in plants, actually carbon dioxide, which is a waste product from our aerobic respiration, as us or even plants, all eukaryotic cells, actually it's not a waste product in the morning. Why? Because in the morning, chloroplasts will pick up this carbon dioxide and do the opposite reaction, which is photosynthesis, to produce oxygen and glucose. So the cycle keeps going on and on inside the plant during daytime. But at night, this carbon dioxide now has to be excreted outside of the plant, because no photosynthesis at night, no light energy to have photosynthesis going. What about humans? What is the human excretory system? When we talk about an excretory system that's specific for excretion, this means that we're talking about our urinary system. So there are two ways, as we mentioned before, to get rid of excess water and also urea: sweating and our urinary system or excretory system by urine. So we have two kidneys that are supplied with blood through the renal arteries. So renal arteries, they carry oxygenated blood, but this oxygenated blood is high in urea content, because in the kidneys, the urea will be filtered to make our urine. So after it gets filtered, they gather again into the renal veins. Now it is deoxygenated blood, but it's free of urea. Again, renal arteries carry oxygenated blood that is full of waste. So yes, it's oxygenated, but still it contains high percentage of urea. And then renal veins coming out of the kidneys that will join again into the vena cava, remember, they contain deoxygenated blood. Yes, it's deoxygenated, yet it's clear from urea or has very low urea content because it was filtered in the kidneys. So what are the kidneys? Kidneys are the organs responsible for filtering the blood from urea. So they dispose urea in the form of urine. They take this urea, excess water and ions, and they make the urine that will be excreted. So where is urea made? Urea actually is made in the liver, because it is the product of the breaking down of amino acids. So after the breaking down of amino acids, Now we make a very toxic compound that is urea. Now it will be carried from the liver to the kidneys by the blood to be excreted in the form of urine. Actually, the liver is not only responsible for making urea, also it breaks down, or the breakdown of proteins, or the breakdown of hormones. It's also responsible for the breakdown of alcohol and some other drugs or medicine. So, what's urine again? Urine is the solution that contains the waste materials, which are urea and excess water and excess ions. After the kidney filters and makes urine, filters the blood to make urine, this urine will pass through those tubes. We call them ureters. And then it's going to be gathered here in the urinary bladder until the body is ready to get rid of this urine through the urethra. Above the urethra, we have a ring muscle that controls the escape of the urine when you're ready to get rid of it. This is called the ring muscle or the sphincter muscle that prevents you from just urinating at any time. You can control your urine and the time you're ready to urinate because of the presence of the sphincter muscle. Actually, the urethra here, this tube that is there to get rid of the urine, is not only for urine. In males, it's also responsible for the getting out of sperms during sexual reproduction. So it carries sperms out of the body during sexual reproduction. This is very important for you to know, that the concentration of urine is inversely proportional with the urine volume. So if you have high urine volume, this means that you have a lot of water in this urine. This means that it will be less concentrated urine. If you have low urine volume, you will have high concentration urine, which means that the amount of urea and other ions will be more in this urine. As any concentrated solution, this means that the solute is more than the solvent, and the solvent here is water or excess water that we don't need. Water can be lost from our body through different ways. Urine is not the way. So the most common way is urine, that's true, but also diarrhea or even feces contains water. Remember when we said that reabsorption happens in the large intestine, but no matter how much the feces stay in the large intestine or in the rectum, this doesn't mean that all the water returns to the body. Some of the water goes out with the feces. Also, crying makes us lose water. Sweating, exhalation when we lose water in the form of water vapor. Vomiting also makes us lose water. If we lose a lot of water, this means that we will have less urine volume and more concentrated urine, which means that if we don't drink enough water, if we sweat a lot or do any of those functions, body functions, we will lose more water in other ways. So we will have less urine volume and we will have concentrated urine. If we gain a lot of water or we lose less water in those areas, you will get more urine volume and less urine concentration. That's why in summer you have more concentrated urine and less urine volume. Why? Because you don't sweat a lot. That's why you urinate more during summertime. Remember please, carbon dioxide is excreted from the lungs or by the lungs. Urea is excreted mainly by the kidneys, and there is a small amount that's excreted by the skin. Also, excess water and minerals in urine and sweat by the skin and the kidneys. So these are the ways of excretion that you need to always remember. Let's solve some questions together. Where do the breakdown of drugs and storage of urine occur? So these are two different functions. Breakdown of drugs happen in the liver. We will write liver up here. storage of urine happens in the urinary bladder. When you write the answers up here, it's easy to figure out the answer without getting confused. So the answer will be B. Which set of conditions would make the percentage of water in urine decrease the most? If the temperature of the surroundings is low or high, you will excrete less urine or less water in urine. Actually, if it's high, because when the temperature is high, this means that you will sweat more, so the water will exit your body in another route. So we're looking at one of those two answers. Amount of activity. When you do a lot of activity, also you will sweat more, right? Because with activity, there is more sweating, so the volume of water in the urine will decrease. So the answer here is D. The diagram shows the kidney and associated structures. We have blood in, which means that this is the renal artery, blood out, which is the renal vein. Now, he's asking you what is X. I already answered. This is renal vein because the blood is leaving the kidney. Now, with the paper 3 question. Figure 9.1 shows the process that are carried out by the organs in the human body. Draw one line. Please don't forget to read the question carefully. From each process to the organ where the process takes place. You must end up with 5 lines. Make sure your lines are clear. Make sure you use a pencil so that in case you find that you're mistaken, you can erase them. Make sure you use a ruler. If you add lines, marks will be detected because this means that you're not sure and that the corrector has to choose for you. So please make sure you don't do those mistakes. Breaks down alcohol. This is gonna be the liver. Destroys hormones. Again, this is the liver. Eliminates excess water. This will be the kidney. Excretes carbon dioxide. This is the lung. Forms urea. Again, this is the liver. Thank you, and I hope this video helps you study.